freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 3 recap for this week's Open Championship. Joining me to break it all down, Greg DuCharme is here. And Greg, hold on. Let me turn my cap around and get into the
there you go
of the action. I'm a little soggy just watching the boys play golf today.
You know what we need to invent is a windshield wiper for a camera lens. Right, because you couldn't see it. You couldn't see in some of the cases. It just highlighted how difficult the conditions were in the afternoon, because it wasn't like that all day. And boy, has this created one of the more interesting days that I can recall in a major championship in its totality.
Yeah. So pull back the curtain a little bit. This was basically a tale of two rounds. The morning guys had a great score. The scores were so low, and then the rain and the nasty stuff comes. We were going hot here, and we're expecting Patrick McDonald, and he said he needs a couple more minutes to finish up his editorial. And I said to you, okay, well, we're just going to talk about the early guys, and then he'll be on. And you said, but those are also the leaders, which is those two things don't usually go together.
No, I mean, sometimes you'll see a case where it's really tough in the afternoon. It gets firm and fast, and somebody goes out and makes a move in the morning. Usually it's one guy, right? Someone. In this case, it's many, because the entire leaderboard seemed to just flip on its head, and everybody is back in the mix. I mean, there has got to be, with a legitimate chance to win, I think you got to go down to there are probably 24 guys. I mean, probably not specific 24 individuals, but score-wise, you brought in the whole top 25 back into play.
The lead is 4 under. T10 is even par. There's 12 golfers at even par or better, so 12 golfers at the lead or within 4. Yeah, I mean, if you reel in the 2 under or the 2 overs, excuse me, that's the 24 golfers. That's 6 shots of the lead.
And that includes Jon Rahm, Alex Noren, Colin Morikawa. Because of who those 3 guys specifically are, really Rahm and Morikawa. Dustin Johnson's in there as well. That's why I think those guys have a slim, but still a chance of only being 6 shots back.
Well, let's hit some names here, because we got off to a very hot start, as did Sungjae Im, who went out this morning and shot a 5 under 66. He turned in 5 under, Greg. So did the majority or all of his work on the front 9, 1 bogey and 1 birdie coming in. He moved up 58 spots on the leaderboard thanks to that 5 under 66.
Yeah, it was a pretty impressive day from him. I think this scorecard that you're looking at here with Sungjae, 31 going out, 35 coming in, is emblematic of what we spoke so much about early in the week, about how the front 9 is very gettable and the back 9 is difficult. So he takes advantage of the par 5 4th hole. He takes advantage, hit a great shot into 5, a great shot into 3, and made some really nice mid-range putts. But Sungjae was not perfect in this round. He did miss some greens. I think he only hit 10 greens in regulation and scrambled really nicely, and was able to take advantage of some of those holes that were playing a little bit easier at the time that he played them. So it was a really nice round, an important round for Sungjae Im, especially because he missed the first 3 cuts in the majors, and then yesterday gets in on the cut line. And all of a sudden, he's got himself with, inside the top 15, tied 13th with a fighting chance tomorrow.
Do you know what Sungjae Im's best career major championship result is?
Oh, no.
It's a T2 at the
2020 Masters.
2020 Masters. That's exactly. Yeah, the November Masters. His 3 best major championship results are all at the Masters. His best Open championship result is a T20. He did that last year, so maybe there's a chance that he can start putting it together a little bit. But Sungjae Im, heck of a day, flies up the leaderboard. Similar story for Adam Scott. A 5 under 66. Again, this was early this morning before many of us were even awake. He turned in 32, and similar story here, Greg. 2 birdies and a bogey on the back nine. Just hold on through that gauntlet and see what you can do. And now Scottie, not that one, has himself in a tie for 10th, just 4 back.
Really impressive for Adam Scott. I mean, he was able to keep the ball in front of him, keep it out of the fescue for the most part, and hit some really high quality iron shots in there. There's because of the conditions that they played with early, there's an option to alter the strategy on this golf course, which we'll talk about with some of the other guys who moved way up. Adam Scott played it with a more conservative style, and he put a lot of pressure on his putter to make those birdies, and it came through. He made a lot of putts in that 10 to 20 foot range throughout this day, which is really important to gather a little momentum. But ball striking wise, he was able to keep it in front of him. He was 7th in strokes gained approach, 14th off the tee for the day, and 5th in strokes gained putting. So really impressive round from Adam Scott that highlighted what was out there for the early guys.
Okay, Greg, do you know Adam Scott's best career major championship finish?
Yes. Also, the Masters, 2013 win.
That is correct. A 1 next to his name in the 2013 Masters. That is right. He also has 2 runner-up finishes, the 2012 Open and the 2011 Masters as well. Now, how about if you like 31s or 32s going out, Tristan Lawrence, the South African, went out in 30, even par on his second 9. This is only Lawrence's 6th major championship. He has not finished better than T42 in any of them. That was the 2022 Open Championship. He, I believe, I didn't see the final numbers, but he led the field in strokes gained off the tee, I believe, in round number 3. So he put himself in great position and took advantage of a lot of those opportunities.
Yes, and this is exactly what I was talking about or hinting at with Adam Scott, because he was much more aggressive off the tee than we've seen this week. Now, the conditions permitted this. There's still risk to take, but he had driver at number 1, driver over the little creek at number 3, and is able to give himself some really short approach shots. Had a really short approach shot, although it was from the fescue at number 4, able to take advantage of it, makes birdies at the par 5s. He just starts filling it up because of the way he drove the ball. He gave himself really easy approach shots, and if the conditions look a little better tomorrow, I think there's still going to be some wind, but it looks like it's going to be more crosswinds on my estimation on both nines, obviously in opposite directions. But being able to get aggressive off the tee like that, if you could put it in play the way he did and hit the fairways, boy, you can really you can pick apart that front 9. And he had a legitimate putt at 29.
Yes, and
look at 29.
And he is in a better position than the other guys that we talked about. He's in a tie for second. There's a lot of guys tied for second, but he is in at 3 under par. He has
the final group.
Yeah, he has final group on Sunday at the Open. He's basically won once each year the last couple of years on the DP World Tour. So it's not like he is coming out of nowhere here. It'll be interesting to see how he handles the biggest of spotlights.
Yes. And it's going to change pretty quickly, right? You go out on moving day and you're 10 shots back, and it's easy to kind of free will. I shouldn't say easy, but you don't feel the same pressure, right? It's a lot easier to freewheel it and get aggressive and go play some golf in pretty gettable conditions. Conditions will be tougher for him tomorrow with that late tee time than they were today. We won't have to deal with the rain, which is great, but final pairing in the Open Championship is a totally different experience than he's faced before.
The T2 position is a very popular one. There are 6 golfers currently tied for second in that 3 under spot. So yeah, there's going to be just a ton of jockeying. Just below those, 4 shots off the lead and even under par is Justin Thomas. And Oh boy, this guy, right? Goes out in 31, comes in 36. So he has gone 68, 78, 67. So if you're doing the math, that is 10 shots worse in round 2 to round 1, and then 11 shots better from round 2 to round 3. Yeah, JT's been pretty volatile this year.
Extremely. I mean, he shot 45. You know, the last 2 years, there have been some really high numbers for a professional golfer, especially one of Justin Thomas's caliber. And it's kind of bizarre. I do give him a little bit of a break on yesterday's round. A lot of players really struggled with that into the wind front nine, and it ate him alive. But he got on the back nine yesterday with, you know, the helping wind, and it really helped him kind of straighten out that ball flight. The ball didn't get away from him nearly as much. And now in this third round, he gets pretty generous conditions, is able to hit driver, much like Tristan Lawrence, advance the ball up close to the greens on those shorter par fours early in the first 9. And even though he missed more fairways than Tristan, than Lawrence did, he was still able to leave himself much easier shots. He was able to hole some really nice putts as well. And this turns out to be a great round that shockingly puts him back in contention in this tournament. He's only 4 shots back.
Very much in the thick of it. Absolutely in the thick of it. I promise you it wasn't a total birdie fest, but I've got 2 more low scores for you here, Greg. And let's get to Russell Henley. Still in that log jam at T2, 3 under par, thanks to a 5 under 66 from Russell. Out in 32, he actually got to the 13th tee, 6 under par. He played his final 6 holes at 1 over, which is honestly just fine and dandy. And Russell Henley is back at it again.
Back at it again in another big event. He played really well at the U.S. Open and is doing more of the same here. This was traditional Russell Henley, right? Put the ball in the fairway, knock it close with some really high quality iron shots. He laid back much more than Justin Thomas and Tristan Lawrence did. Laid much farther back, but still was able to give himself plenty of birdie looks. He hit it to 15 feet all day long. He was 3rd for the day in strokes gained approach. I think there's a world where you could say the strokes gained statistics are kind of skewed a little bit because of the varying conditions that we got in the afternoon. But this was classic Russell Henley, and it's great to see him stepping up as a top 10 player in the world and performing that way in the big ones.
His T7 at Pinehurst was the 2nd best major championship result of his career. The only one better was last year's Masters. He finished in a tie for 4th. Okay, 1 more great score from the morning, Greg. Then we get to the chaos that was the afternoon. But Sam Burns has gone 76, 69, 65 this week. This 65 includes 2 bogeys, one immediately out of the gate on number 1, but then he gets it into gear and starts putting a bunch of circles on the card. You talk about major championship success or lack thereof. Sam Burns did not have a finish inside the top 20. He had a 20th in 2022, but didn't have anything better than that in his entire career until Pinehurst. He finished T9, now on the verge of getting his 2nd consecutive best major finish ever.
Yes, and I would say it's very likely at this point, but we'll see. There's a lot of golf left to go. Again, this is a totally different situation. You wake up and I think he was 10 shots back of the 10 shots off the lead as well. And he's thinking, okay, let's go play some golf. Let's go hit driver everywhere. And let's advance it really close to the green. It's more of an American style of golf that they were able to play in this round with limited pressure, not a whole lot of fear of putting yourself in trouble. The conditions are very gettable, and he takes advantage. I mean, he almost on number 7. On number 7, he had like 25 yards to the flag for his 2nd shot. Right? I mean, that is extremely aggressive because you got to cut the corner on the dog leg. That's the kind of thing that he did throughout that front nine, and it paid off in a big way.
I love it. I love it. And the way that these waves shook out creates a situation where it is wide open. We have not even talked about the guys who had to play in the worst of it. We're going to do that. We're going to bring in Patrick McDonald. We're going to look at the odds, and we're going to see who might win the Open Championship. But we're going to take a quick word from our partners. And we're back. Patrick McDonald is here. Patrick, it is good to see you.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everyone's week been?
It has been great, and it would be even better if you were on the right microphone. But other than that, we're doing a great job. So get yourself figured out over there. We've already discussed the morning wave and the guys that have made that move. How you doing now? Say it one more time.
Can you hear me now?
That's much better.
Good.
Let's try that again. Patrick McDonald is here, everyone, and he's using the correct microphone.
Can you hear me now? Good.
Remember that?
Shout out to Verizon.
Yeah,
you guys already talked.
Remember then though, when his Verizon contract was up, he went to like Sprint and he was doing like the same thing, the same bit.
I think it was Sprint. Yeah. What a guy. You guys already talked about Thirsty Lawrence.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we hit all those movers in the morning. It was like two different days of golf, birdies and bunches, and then oh mama.
Oh, unbelievable. Did you see that Lawrence was 1,000 to 1 last night? Burns 600 and Henley 300.
I saw the Henley and Burns numbers. I did not see the Lawrence numbers.
Absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, like you said, 2 different days out there, and I hate to say it, but it feels like the Open is is wide open.
Yeah. Nice.
Good one. Well, let's talk about those guys who had to play in the brunt of the weather. Some it didn't affect nearly as much as others. Xander Schauffele, your boy Patrick, shot a 2 under 69. He even made bogey on the last to give up 1 shot. But this has been a grinded out, close to par week for Xander. 69, 72, 69. He is 1 shot off the lead, and all of a sudden, one good round away from adding a second major championship to his 2024 tally.
He's got some questions to answer, though. One, can he play alongside someone not named Patrick Cantlay? He's going to have to answer that tomorrow. If he does win, do you guys know the 5 names since 2000 to have multiple major seasons?
Wait.
Tiger.
Let me go first, Greg.
Okay.
All right. Tiger
Jordan, times 4.
Jordan Spieth.
Yep.
Go ahead, Greg.
Brooks.
Yep.
Oh, Brooks.
You're missing 2 in the middle.
Jason Day didn't do it when he was the number 1 player in the world. Rory?
Yep. 14.
Rory. Yes.
Yep.
Very good.
Rory in 14. We're missing a guy who won 2 majors in the same year.
Padraig Harrington.
There you go, Greg. That's why you got the trophy.
That's why he's got the trophy. Good job.
That
Greg.
is why you have the trophy.
Yep.
I looked at Xander, though, and my big question mark for him coming into the week was whether or not he was going to hit enough fairways out there. Greg, we've talked about his switch to his new coach, Chris Cuomo, adding a bunch of distance and accuracy to the driver.
Yes.
And while the distance has still been there really ever since the PGA Championship, the accuracy has fallen off a little bit, especially at the U.S. Open. You saw him grinding for everything. And so far this week, it doesn't look great on paper. Only 2/3 of the fairways hit, but that's inside the top 10 in this field. And if Xander Schauffele's not hitting it in these pot bunkers and he can let the rest of his game shine, I mean, I've been saying it all year. He's the most well-rounded player in the world, and he's showing it right now. And so it was just another really great round from him. And it is crazy to think, even with the driver not being great today, it is crazy to think Xander Schauffele can pull alongside Scottie Scheffler, Dustin Johnson, John Rahm, and all those other names at 2 major championships with a good round tomorrow.
It would be a floodgates moment, Greg. The thing that everyone talks about that never happens, right?
Right?
Never happens. You win one, then you win a bunch. Xander could get his second. He is playing in the third to last group with Justin Rose.
All the close calls. I mean, if he's able to unlock the gates, and open it up for the flood, it would be pretty impressive. His major championship resume is incredible to me, and it would not be out of place if Xander Schauffele had more than one major at all. And he's doing everything that you need to do in this kind of an event. And I think there's one really big advantage that he has. Looking at the leaderboard, you're going to be playing in crosswinds tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be out of the southwest, which takes that. Out of the south, it's more into the wind on the opening holes and downwind on the holes coming in with a slight crosswind. Coming out of the southwest, it seems to me, looking at the map, like it will be more straight across, which means the back nine is going to be a left to right wind. Right-handed golfers don't particularly like. But Xander is a drawer of the ball. And I think that could be a sneaky advantage for him heading into the back nine on Sunday.
I concur. That's a great point, Greg.
Speaking of Justin Rose, Rosie held this thing together. He bogeyed the first. He bogeyed the 17th in the middle, a birdie on 4, a bogey on 5. That is it, Greg. Lots of pars along the way. He drops 2 shots relative to par. He will enter the final round 1 shot off the lead. Already a gold medalist, already a U.S. Open champion, 1 good round away from adding a claret jug to the empty spot on his trophy shelf.
Yep, and that would be also fitting for Justin Rose to end his career with more than 1 major. Absolutely fitting. He's been so impressive through his career. And I just get the sense that he loves this tournament and the way that these conditions are. And he's putting so much attention into each and every shot, which I think is cool to watch. He's competing as hard as he can. You're seeing some fist pumps. I mean, I feel like I'm watching the Ryder Cup with him today, making those 4 and 5 footers, the cool fist pumps that we're used to seeing when he's wearing blue and yellow or maybe burnt orange. It's been really impressive from Justin Rose from a absolute grinded out perspective. He's enjoying it. He's doing it. And he's one shot off the lead heading into the final round. It's unreal.
What's crazy is I'm looking through this. If either Justin Rose or Xander Schauffele win tomorrow, they will become the only men in the history of the sport to have 2 major championships and a gold medal.
Wow.
It's because there's only 4 gold medalists in the history of the sport.
Right.
And until Scottie Scheffler wins the Olympics in a couple weeks too.
Well, it doesn't. If it only lasts 2 weeks, it's still true.
Greg,
So,
I totally agree with you with Rose and just loving this moment. I mean, the 6-footer on 18, you just think, okay, it's kind of just a ho-hum 6-footer. It is legitimately, he celebrated like it was that putt on the first day in Rome when he pointed to all his teammates on the side. He was just so jacked up about making that 6-footer and even vibing next to Billy Horschel. I would listen to a podcast from those two. Honestly, I think it's got to happen down the road. Those two were vibing off each other. And I think honestly, friendship there because they are friends. They talk about football, as they call it overseas. It's called soccer in this part of the world. Um, it actually, I think it did a lot for them on Saturday, kind of playing in the miserable weather out there. It's rainy. It sucks. It's just so annoying. But you got Billy Ho, who we'll get to, who's just getting up and down from Kingdom Come. And then Justin Rose, like Greg said, just loving it and just being, he's talked a lot about having gratitude, just being 44, having to play his way through qualifying to get to this point, and now he's in the mix. Justin Rose is a guy, you look at his resume, Rick, gold medal, world number 1, US Open champion, a ton of wins worldwide, onto the scene super early, FedEx Cup. He's a guy who you would honestly peg as a multiple time major champion. He has been awesome for so long. And so I am typically Team Rose, but there's another name on this leaderboard that might make me not 100% Team Rose, but I think it would be honestly a fitting and an awesome win if he can somehow come through tomorrow.
Let me see if I can find one of those names. I'm not sure it's here because I'm going with Scottie Schauffele, who has yet to shoot around in the 60s, but is only 2 shots off the lead going into Sunday at the Open, just like we all suspected. Right, Greg? I mean, this is a guy who's had a historic year, already won a major, in the mix for another, hasn't had the good round yet.
No, he hasn't. And if he just hasn't been able to put it together. I mean, there's a lot of this round that was quite good. Very similar to Thursday's round. A lot of it was quite good. This was it was almost like he wasn't playing in the same conditions as everybody else. He's pounding fairways. He's pounding greens. 13 of 14 fairways, 14 of 18 greens. I feel like the greens he missed, he just couldn't reach, and nobody else could either. I mean, this was incredible. And, to go along with what I said about Xander Schauffele and his ability to hit draws into a left to right wind tomorrow coming down the stretch, Scottie Schauffele can handle that wind as well. And I'm very confident in that. So if you're looking for ball strikers, and you should be, you need to be, and you probably always should be, Scottie Schauffele's the guy. But what he did on the greens today was agonizing, and he should probably be leading this tournament by at least a shot, even shooting 70-70 in the opening rounds, not even including some of the misses from Thursday. He should probably be leading this tournament. And the fact that he's only 2 shots back is a blessing for him. And I have a feeling he's going to take advantage of it tomorrow.
I was telling Greg Patrick before we went hot that there are some shots that Scottie has hit this week where you could give other guys in this field a bucket of balls and they could not do what he has done on the first try. I mean, he has hit some unbelievable shots in whether it's length, difficulty, condition, however you want to define it, shots that I just could not believe he can do.
We see on the PGA Tour, those run-of-the-mill golf courses, how much better Scottie Schauffele is in terms of ball striking than everyone else in the world. But it's even more dramatic when you add in the flair of artistry, right? When you add in you're going to have to hit a golf shot here. And Scottie Schauffele is proving time and time again this week. I know the 3-wood into 17 was, illegal probably here in the United States, I would say. But the approach into 11 as well, up the hill, flighting that one, and really just throughout his round. They talked about it on the broadcast where he was altering his trajectories to go higher early in the round to avoid the quick skip on the greens. And the 1 into 3 where he paid off for birdie, hitting it to 5 feet, was, oh my gosh, like it doesn't really look great on shot link or anything like that, but watching it live, that was like, all right, yeah, he is just that much better than everyone else in this field in terms of ball striking. So yeah, it's obviously okay. He made nothing. He lost more than 3 strokes on the greens today. He's only a couple back at this point somehow. He hasn't shot around over par So his floor seemingly is even par at this point. He's one of 2 players in this field not shooting over par round so far. And then you add in just how good the putter has been so far since that switch to the mallet, and you think there's a lot of question marks on this leaderboard. And one of them is not Scottie Schauffele. The guy who's been there, done that, is probably going to go there and do it again.
2 back. Scottie Scheffler's 2 back. There's a trio of names left that I think were the most compelling on Saturday. We're going to talk about those. Look at the live odds. Get you all set up for one final major championship round of the year. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
And we're back. Greg, it was a tale of 2 different halves of the day, as I mentioned, and the same goes for Shane Lowry, who led this championship going into the 3rd round, made birdie on number 4, stepped onto the tee of the iconic par 3 8th postage stamp at 8 under par. I will remind you, the current lead is 4 under. He was 8 under at the postage stamp. He made the cardinal sin. He hit it into the coffin bunker. He ends up taking a double, and things spiral out of control after that. 5 more bogeys on his second 9. He comes in 40. It's a 3rd round 77 that drops him from 1st to 9th, 3 shots off the lead.
Yeah, this was tough to watch because the picture, if you're watching on YouTube that Josh has up right now, we saw a lot of that today. We saw some club slams, some absolute frustration for Shane Lowry. And I think part of it is he couldn't score, right? He was at 8 under heading into the postage stamp and had some really good looks to be better than that. Gave himself a good look at 9, a good look at 10. He couldn't get anything to go. And even with that mistake at the postage stamp, I think so much of what happened in this round has to do with the putter not cooperating. He probably hit the ball well enough, even with the double at number 8. He probably hit the ball well enough to shoot 70 in this round. And if he does that, he's tied for the lead where he probably belongs. This was very disappointing for Shane Lowry, especially coming in down the stretch.
It is a situation, Greg, Patrick, where it would behoove him to reset quickly, because despite this miserable feeling that he probably has right now, he's still only 3 back. And we saw the way the board can shuffle and move today. He is by no means out of this. He'll play with Adam Scott in the final round.
I've got a take on Lowry.
Oh boy.
It's kind of just
he can't play in the rain.
Well, duh. We found out today he can't. I'm convinced a lot of these
19?
Oh yeah, it was disgusting in 19.
Do you remember at Honda when it poured for 3 minutes and he had to get wet, and then it was all over for?
Yeah. He is someone who lets little things bother him, and it has become apparent over the past couple days where, okay, number 11, there's a cameraman. It's his fault. It's not mine. Today on number 11, he receives the break of the century. He had a marshal pretty much fly in front of a bullet and take it for him when his second was heading for the gorse, saved him a stroke. And you saw on 8, he was very bothered. It was a horrible shot. And making it even worse is right before him, Dan Brown did the exact same thing. So he learned absolutely nothing from going second on the postage stamp. He gets in there. He has a worse lie than Brown, right? He's more towards the back of the bunker, ends up making double there. But I found out that Shane Lowry, it's in the comments, he's a bit of a whiner. He is. And people like him because he has a cool accent. He drinks beer. He's the man. He's Irish. But I think with a lot of these Europeans, if you turn them American, the perception of them would be a lot different. Like you had Shane Lowry yelling at a guy on number 11 who took the bullet for him. He's yelling at people on number 11. So I think the green speed, like Greg said, he hit it well enough today to score much better than what he did. What he shot 77. But I look at the putt on number 6. He left it right in the jaws from about 16 feet. Then he missed the shorty on 7 after Brown threw a dart in there. And after that, he missed a ton to the left. A ton to the left. It felt like every putt missed left, including that short one. And so the green speed obviously got to him. But then again, Rick, you would know this. Shane Lowry's putting hasn't been super stellar in 2024. So I'm not really too surprised that this eventually came.
Yeah, it's been kind of it's been all over the place. He's had unbelievable days. He's had miserable days. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Lowry needs a reset. As I mentioned, he is 1 under par. He's 3 shots off the lead. Dan Brown, a name that, Thursday night, Greg, we said, look who it is, Daniel Brown. Who in the world? Okay, now we got to take him a little bit more seriously after 36. All right, here we go. Dan Brown. Now, trying to make a name for himself, trying to win in his major championship debut, shoots a 3rd round 73. He is 1 shot off the lead. This was a 2-pencil day. That's a bogey on 1, a birdie on 3, a birdie on 6, a birdie on 7, a bogey on 8 and 10, a birdie on 12, a bogey on 13, a birdie on 16, a bogey on 17, and a double on 18, Greg. That is, it's giving my hand a cramp just thinking about it.
Yes. Wow. Fascinating day from Dan Brown. The break at 1 is unfortunate. The ball can't make up its mind. He's got it right on the edge of a pot bunker. It would happen again later in the round. So it's definitely disappointing. But the comeback, the birdie putt at number 3 was huge. He made another big putt at number 4. So that was, I think, really important to keep him in the mix of this thing and make him believe that he still had a chance. And then he just started getting extremely wayward and extremely lucky. It was incredible. The 1 on 7 hits the 8th green, nearly kills Dean Burmeister.
Dean.
And he makes birdie. He gets a great lie. Probably the best lie you can have at Royal Troon. And then he knocks it in there close. They somehow got a yardage. That was awesome. Escapes 8 with a bogey from the coffin bunker, which is not bad. He got another great break somewhere else later on.
14, the par
14.
3.
Oh, he hit a terrible shot in there. And it ends up fine. Very close to being in a knob of fescue that I don't think you could get out of, and gets it up and down. So it was a bizarre mix of incredible shots, some terrible shots, some great putts. What a day, and what a story this is. He's got himself 1 shot off the lead heading into the final round of a major, and should be leading.
Yeah, we're in very uncharted historical territory, Patrick. I think it would be right for us to dive into the fact that this is his first major championship. I mean, this is a guy, the depth of golf. We talk about this all the time, especially in the modern game. It doesn't really happen, especially at major championships, for a guy to come mostly out of nowhere and win this. by my count, I'm looking right now. I believe there's been 8 players who have ever won a major in their major championship debut.
Correct. And he would be the second in the last 100 years to win the Open in his debut. And you look at the parallels to Ben Curtis, and they're there. He enters this week as world number 272. Curtis was just inside the top 400. His last 8 starts, he has 6 missed cuts and a withdrawal. Found a little form there at the Scottish Open, made the cut, finished outside the top 60. And like I said, to win the Open in his debut, only 2 men in the past 100 years have done that. And he did get lucky, Greg. You cannot deny that. Where some of his ball, I mean, he opened that green up on 7 beautifully. That's the best angle. Yeah. You saw the pin and everything.
It's an option.
Yeah, more guys should be doing that. So he hits 1 fairway on the front 9, turns in 1 under, and then he hits 2 greens on the back 9. And he got everything out of those 2 greens because he made birdie on both of those holes. And so there is a case to be like, yeah, he should be winning this tournament. He got boned on 1. He got boned on 18. But man, he is flying so close to the sun right now. So close to the sun right now. But he's enjoying it by the looks of it. Walking up, taking selfies with fans, up 18, ripping darts. He's like, yeah, hopefully no one's seeing that. He's like trying to hide it from the camera because he's like, yeah, my mom and dad don't like it when I do that. So hopefully they don't see that. And it's like, yeah. And you're just 1 stroke off the lead at the Open as well.
But I'm sure nobody's watching.
Yeah, no one.
Definitely not your parents, right? He'd also become just the 3rd man to win any major in his debut in the last 100 years. So we've got Ben Curtis. Who else might be on this list, gentlemen?
Keegan,
Capitan.
Captain.
Keegan Bradley, most recent to do it. That concludes the list of post 1914. Everybody else is before that. Do we have any others?
Old Tom Morris in the first major ever.
No, but you have the correct first Open ever was not Old Tom Morris, but that is on the list because of it was everyone's debut.
Yeah, I should know who won the first Open. I don't.
Varden. I feel like that's a hot name in the streets.
Varden was a little bit, he was like the 1900. Billy Park Sr. won the 1860 Open. I think you should probably only maybe get one more of these. Tom Kidd won the Open in 1873. Mungo Park, Horace Rawlins, Fred Hurd, and then the one that I think you guys have a shot at one more.
You said Tom Kidd.
Oh, Francis Ouimet.
That's right. Tom Kidd,
yeah.
Kidd. Francis Ouimet in 1913 U.S. Open at Brookline. That's the other one.
Interesting.
Yes. Dan Brown sits in the logjam of golfers at T2, 3 under par. They all chase Billy Horschel. A 2 under 69 for Billy, who went out in 32, held it together coming in, just 2 blemishes on the card, flipped his hat backwards, kept the rain out of his eyes, removed his wet weather jacket, and now Greg goes for his first major championship. Really one of the only things missing from what is an otherwise impressive golfing resume.
You know, Billy Horschel has said some things before that may make you raise your eyebrows. Like one of his goals is to win all 4 majors, which I applaud him for, but he actually will say that, which is amazing. And he's not pounding his chest, but he really wants to. And he only has 2 top 10s in major championships, but continues to believe in himself. And like Justin Rose, embraces these conditions today. And I got to say, he absolutely striped it on this golf course today. There were some holes, some par 4s, some par 3s, some situations where he just couldn't reach, but he was striping it. and had great control over his golf ball on the back nine coming into the wind, even though it was extremely challenging. The short game was phenomenal. The putting stroke is phenomenal. It's really cool to watch him compete like this. And it's something that I feel like we've missed out on through his career. Billy Horschel in contention in a major. It's been a really cool thing to watch.
Yeah, the major record is not good. This is event 43. In the first 42, he has 2 top 10s. His best finish came in 2013 at the US Open. He finished T4. The rest of the resume, though, Patrick, 8 PGA Tour wins. That includes a FedEx Cup and another playoff event, the BMW Championship. He's the only guy to win both the Zurich Classic as an individual and as part of a team. He has won the match play. He has won the Memorial. He has also won, and this is kind of the cool part about this. He's won the BMW PGA Championship, and he routinely plays more DP World Tour events than a lot of other guys. So he is also being well received over there. So there's this other side of it that I think is really cool as well.
Yeah, man, I was buying all of the Billy Horschel stock after Marion in 2013. I think one round he hit all 18 greens in regulation, and he had the octopus pants on. I was like, this guy is going to be the next big thing. Unfortunately, his next top 10 didn't come until this year's PGA Championship, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, I mean, he's very comfortable, and he talked about it after his round a little bit. And I think you kind of see it in the leaderboard with who's up there and how he's just a grinder. That word's overused a ton in professional golf, but in that penultimate pair today, you had a couple of just A-class first team all grinders with him and Justin Rose. And he mentioned pretty much playing alongside Justin, a guy who loves those conditions. It's hard not to have fun out there when you're seeing that. And we saw it on the back nine. He hit all 9 greens in regulation on the front side. Like Greg said, he was just flushing everything. It seemed like he had a putt from 10 feet for birdie on every hole. And the back nine was unbelievably hard, playing almost 3 strokes over par. And then his short game took over. He got up and down from everywhere. Some of those bunker shots were downright filthy. And I was shocked he didn't get up and down on 18, having gotten up and down 5 times in a row before that. He hit 1 green on the backside. And so it seems like he's ready for this moment. He seems like someone who's not going to back down from the challenge, even though he's never been in this position. And it seems like Billy Horschel, like you said, Rick, with all the accolades he has, FedEx Cup, the BMW PGA, that a major championship, it's kind of weird to say that he has become an easy guy to root for this week, just with his demeanor and how he's going around the golf course.
If you would have told me 10, go ahead, Greg.
He shot 84 last year at the Memorial, right? This guy was in the doldrums and works his way out of it, gets his equipment right, does really hard work with his coach, Todd Anderson, who he's stayed with through every up and down. And all of a sudden he gets his game in position where he's hitting the ball a whole lot better. He can play, he can compete. He wins in an opposite field event, or he's playing in an opposite field event. I think that's very likable and very easy to root for.
He won Corrales this year.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
I hate to jump 9 steps ahead. He makes the Ryder Cup team if he wins this, right?
Definitely the President's Cup.
Oh, sorry, the President's Cup.
Yeah, we're a long way away.
Wow, I'm many steps ahead of the Ryder Cup then.
Yeah.
I was wondering why my brain at this point in the week. I was looking at this Ryder Cup standings and I was trying to figure out why they didn't look right to me. And I was like, why? I was like, why doesn't this look right? And then I was already confused. Okay.
Because they really only count majors in this year, in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
So right. He would make a huge jump.
Well, that's what I was looking at. I was like, he would jump up to 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
First Ryder Cup.
But it's a President's Cup year.
And he'd be awesome at a Ryder Cup, though.
Oh man, he would
And
ruffle.
Keegan would pick him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's like passing the torch.
Well, he's in the final group with Thriston Lawrence. That goes out at, I just had the tee times.
225 local.
225 local. Burns and Henley, guys who went out in the morning, are the penultimate group. Xander and Rose. Dan Brown and Scottie Schauffele. Oof, we're just going to throw this guy to the Wolves. Adam Scott, Shane Lowry, Justin Thomas, Matthew Jordan, Ben On, Sungjae. That's got to be the lowest number of surname characters possible on him.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know anybody.
You can have a last name with one letter in it.
I don't know anybody.
Never seen it.
Yeah.
What does Vegas think, Josh? Wow. Okay. One shot back, Xander Schauffele. Hold on. Let me actually just back up for a second. This is what the leaderboard looks like. Billy Horschel at 4 under. Lawrence, Burns, Henley, Schauffele, Rose, Dan Brown, all at 3 under. Scottie Schauffele, 2 under. Shane Lowry, 1 under. That is the entirety of golfers under par. Knowing that, Xander Schauffele is plus 330 to win. He is the slight favorite over Scottie Schauffele at plus 360. Billy Horschel, who currently leads the golf tournament, is 5.5 to 1. Justin Rose and Sam Burns are 8 to 1 and 8.5 to 1. Russell Henley, who is in that logjam at second, 9 to 1. Lawrence, 14 to 1. Dan Brown, 22. And Shane Lowry goes from the favorite to one of the long shots at 28 to 1. What's John Rahm and like Justin Thomas at?
I think JT's like 50-ish
Or
at
back.
even par. Rahm's 2 over alongside Morikawa and I believe DJ.
Rahm's 120.
6 back.
Collins 200, DJ's 400. What's the weather forecast? Is it anything like today?
No.
Okay.
No, but there will be a little more wind. Like 10 mile an hour winds, gusts up to like 20 or so, 18, 20. It's out of the southwest, which we haven't seen this week.
Interesting.
No rain in the forecast that I saw.
Okay.
I genuinely have no idea who's going to win.
I do.
What's his name?
Because, gentlemen, we've been building up to this moment all year, from the debacle at the Players' Championship, where Rick and I almost threw hands at each other, debating whether or not this man was a top 10 player in the world. And maybe I shorted him, because this week at the Open Championship, the final major championship of the season, Russell Henley will be a top 1 player in the world. And he's going to be a major champion. Accurate off the tee, lethal iron player, a great putting week.
It would be good for your brand if you won. I mean, it would the bit could go. It would have so many legs. Think about how long a major championship lasts. Like, we talk about that for 10 years,
decades. Correct, decades. That being said, man, I'm obviously rooting for us. It is hard not to root for Horschel and Rose too, in my opinion, but it is tough not to look at the guys who won major championships already this season.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like, okay, so Xander's gone 69, 72, 69. Scottie's gone 70, 70, 71. Like, okay, so one of the best players in the world, one of the guys who have been clearly one of the 2 best players in the world, is going to play like it tomorrow, and one of them's going to win.
Scottie's going to win.
It's crazy because it's never really felt like Scottie was going to win, but he's just going to.
At the same time, it's always felt like Scottie was going to win.
They're going to make the turn tomorrow, and he's going to be tied for the lead. and then it's going to be over.
And he's going to run away on the back nine. I mean, it was huge. I was having moments of doubt today when he was missing some of these really short putts. I had a feeling that this would be the round where he separated himself. He didn't, but the shot at 17 and the way the other leaders fell back to him, just it sealed the fate.
I'm going to ask a question that I'm not sure if I want to find the answer to. What's the playoff format at the Open?
I believe it's three-hole aggregate.
I think we're getting
Minnesota.
I think we're getting a playoff.
When was the last major playoff?
Not Fitzy at Brookline. I feel like the Masters had one. It couldn't have been Rose and Sergio, right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that in 17.
A couple years ago.
Oh,
Thomas and Will Zalatoris.
Yeah. I think we're due as well. I want like 4.
Yes. A 4-way 3-hole aggregate would be sick.
Scheffler, Xander, Horschel, and Rose.
Oh, inject it.
I didn't even mention Russell Henley. Just for the good of the game. Those 4.
That would be awesome. They should do a default, like if it's 3 or more, it just defaults to an 18-hole playoff.
Yeah, why not?
Wrap it on Monday.
Yeah, screw it. All right, well, listen, this time tomorrow, we will know who the champion golfer of the year is. Tomorrow is the last major championship round of the year. Enjoy it. It's going to be a blast. It is as wide open as any major Sunday we've had in a while. You might get a long shot. You might get a guy who wins their second major of the year. Who the heck knows? But we're going to wait and find out. Big thanks to producer Josh, who does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there is Patrick McDonald. You can find him at P McDonald CBS. You can find Greg at The Real GFD, and you can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut. We'll catch you next time.